Happy Friday, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful week. I hope you're seeing lots of birds at your feeders. I know you have been telling us all the fun visitors that have been visiting you this week, and we're so thankful for you for sharing all your joys and your birds with us because that is what we love most. So, thank you for coming in and um, sharing your backyard with us. It's been a blast. So, in any case, we are live today to tell you what's new, what's happening at the store, what's happening out in nature. Every Friday we go live around 5:30ish to tell you what's new and what's happening. And today is no different. So here we are. My name is Ellen at Wild Birds Unlimited in Joliet. To start it off, I just want to remind you all that the last day to take advantage of the Feather Pro sale is tomorrow. So the 15th ends the promotion where you can purchase Feather Pro, either cylinders or the loose seed, and receive 15% off. Of course, if you're a Daily Savings Club, you get an extra 5% off of that sale price. So save and feed your birds a really good blend that's going to help them through this season. Birds are molting. I know you're seeing it here at the store. We have a cardinal that's almost completely bald, and it looks kind of wild, but I know some of you are also telling us that you're starting to notice your goldfinches are changing color. So again, birds are molting, and if you see a couple crazy looking stragglers looking out there, it's not that there's anything wrong with them. They're going through a natural process. Feathers take time to grow, and for a few days, even it could be weeks long, they're losing feathers and they're replacing them. And that replacement, building feathers and growing new ones, requires a lot of protein. So make sure that you're offering high protein foods such as Feather Pro to make sure that the birds are getting the nutrition that they need to do that intensive task of molting. All right, so last day to take advantage of it is tomorrow, the 15th. Feather Pro cylinders and loose seed are all 15% off in store or online. All right, take advantage of it. Let's get on to other cool things that are happening. And the big one I want to talk about is events that are happening soon. Tomorrow we have a really cool animal group that's coming. It's called Animal Quest, and they'll be bringing a bunch of different unique animals. It's very educational and interactive since most of the animals can be touched or held. So it's going to be a lot of fun. They're here from 11 to 1. I highly recommend that you come and stay for the whole thing because it's kind of like while it is a meet and greet, she will kind of go through each animal and give you some fun facts, and you can touch and hold and where it's appropriate. So really gonna be a fun time. I definitely recommend that you come by and check it out. They're a great group. Really excited to have them. Also happening coming up in August is we have a native plant sale here at the store on August 22nd. So that's not this Saturday. This Saturday is Animal Quest, but the next Saturday we're having an in-store native plant sale. So all the plants are from Possibly Place Nursery. There'll be a great array of forbs, plants, native plants, but also shrubs and trees. So the shrubs and trees come in 1 and 5 gallon containers. There's quite a few varieties. On our Facebook, we do have them listed, the species, so take a look at that if you are interested on which milkweed we are having or any of those questions, what kind of shrubs we're getting in. That's where you'll find all that information. I believe I also put it in the event tab. If I didn't, I'll kind of look and make sure I did tonight. All right. Also coming up later in August, we have St. Sophia's Kitten Adoption. St. Sophia's Forgotten Felines is a wonderful organization that it fosters cats and kittens looking for their forever home. So if you would like to have a new best friend in your life, come and consider St. Sophia's Cats and Kittens. Their website and the link for the application for adoption is on our website. It's here on Facebook under the event tab. I highly recommend that you fill out the application prior to that weekend because what happens is they're going to have to kind of vet you and make sure that you are solid to take the cat home that day, and I want you to make sure that you are happy and you are taking your cat or kitten best friend home with you that day. So do the paperwork ahead of time, and you can shop the trailer of kittens and cats that are coming on Saturday, August 29th. All right. Also, the last thing I want to kind of mention for August is we have a special event coming up for Daily Savings Club members. It's called the Double Point Event. So basically, as Daily Savings Club members, when you shop those 3 special days, Friday the 28th, the Saturday the 29th, and Sunday the 30th, you earn double the points. So that means you are earning bird bucks, those $10 coupons, quicker than in double time. So it's a great opportunity to purchase that spinner you've been looking at, or that bird bath you've been looking at, or a feeder that you've been eyeing, because those purchases are going to earn you your points quicker. And I know some of you have been asking me when certain things are going to go on sale, and while we don't always know when certain things are going to be going on sale, I can tell you that this is a great opportunity to take advantage of that event as Daily Savings Club members and earn your points quicker so that you can then save on other items. Okay, so take advantage of it. It's coming up soon. All right, I'll keep reminding you. All right, so that's what's happening in August. We do have some wonderful events planned for September, including a feeder cleaning event. We also have a bald eagle coming in September. And also in September, we have 2 awesome presentations. One is coming up presented by Chris, our very own Chris here at the store. I want to make sure I'm reading his presentation name correctly, so I want to read it right from the paper. It's called Noticing Nature in Photography, Raptors and More with Chris Ill. So that's our very own Chris. If you know him, he's the wonderful young man that comes and helps us bag our seed and make sure our back room is ready to go for the whole week. So he is really, if you ever buy 5-pound bags of seed or 10-pound bags of seed, he's likely bagged it. And we thank him so much. He's so wonderful as an employee, but he's also so knowledgeable on his raptors and the insects and all the other things that he is so passionate about. I'm really inspired by all his passion for nature. So definitely come by for that. That is happening September 5th at 11 o'clock. So come on by for that one too. Support our own Chris, all right? But we will have all the events for September coming up soon, so don't feel like you had to write everything down. I will promise I'll have it all out for you. All right, before we get into the main topics tonight, which is our seed of the month, and ways that we can handle critters such as squirrels in our own backyards, I want to show you the new earrings that have come in. These earrings are handmade here in the U.S., and they are all inspired by nature. Now, it was super, super hard ordering, and I'm sure you're going to also feel the same way when I show you these, but they are just so stunning, and some of the patterns are similar, but in different style, shapes, and things, so, but I kind of grabbed a variety and hope you enjoy. But I'm going to show them one at a time, just so you can see. Here's these are like trees. There we go. We got some other kind of trees that are in this beautiful, almost autumn-like scenery. I love this one. I hope the color is coming out beautiful on it is just as well. But these earrings are just stunning. I'm going to show you some of these little ones. They're so cute. Again, trees. This is kind of like a purple and red and orange kind of color combination. Check out those green leaves against those birch trees are looking stunning. And then we do have some birds from them too. We have the lovebirds and the hummingbirds. And again, both of these come in a couple different styles of earrings. I just kind of grabbed a variety to show you. And then of course the butterflies, and my personal favorite, I saw these in the catalog and I was just like, we need to get them. And I think we have them in a couple different styles because me and Lauren loved them. But here they are. Look at those. Isn't that color combination beautiful? It kind of reminds me of a geode, inside like the rock. Super cool, crystal-like print on there. And then we have a couple that have different kinds of butterflies on them. Again, super awesome. New earrings. We still have our Jabibo and we still have our silver fours, but we decided to add this new line to our collection of earrings. They're called DC's Designs. Again, handcrafted jewelry, wearable art, handmade in the U.S., and inspired by nature. So come by and check those out as well. I'm going to set these aside so that we can get into our main topic tonight, which is I want to talk about our seed of the month. And our seed of the month is Fiery Feast. So if you have never tried Fiery Feast or are wondering what Fiery Feast is, Fiery Feast is our house blend of hot pepper food, loose seed. This seed contains peanuts, tree nuts, and sunflower chips. It is a great no-mess option to offer to your birds. And what's best about it is that because it's hot pepper, it has capsaicin cured on each and every seed in here. It's going to be really a great deterrent against critters, especially your squirrels. The squirrels, how it works is all of us mammals, like your squirrels and your raccoons, we all have a brain receptor where we sense hot, that spicy sense. Well, guess who doesn't have it? If you've guessed your birds, you are absolutely correct. So the birds don't have that brain receptor, so they can't tell if it's hot or not, but your squirrels can, and those other pesky critters that are in your backyard that are always trying to steal the food and the show from your feeders, they do care, and they will most likely are going to smell it before they even come and try to taste it. So it's a really great option to kind of combat some squirrel problems and other critter problems you might be having in your backyard. And that kind of leads me into our next topic, which is going to be all about squirrels. But before I go in there, I kind of want to give you some tips on using Fiery Feast in your backyard, because I really do think this is a great blend. And because it's seed of the month, which means we're focusing on it, we are also having a sample. So if you would like to come by for a free sample of Fiery Feast, you're more than welcome to come by and check that out. Completely free. Try it out, see how you like it. The bag I just showed you is an 8-pound bag, but we also carried it in a 20-pound bag. So if you thought this was the bee's knees and knew that this has solved all your problems, come back in and grab the bigger bag, because you're going to save when you buy a bigger quantity. All right. Now, people all the time ask me when we're talking about seed blends, what feeder is best to put this in? Well, luckily that you have quite a bit of options when it comes to Fiery Feast. You can put it in everything from hopper feeders to tube feeders. Really, the sky is the limit, because this is a pretty well diced and chopped blend. The peanuts and tree nuts aren't going to necessarily get stuck in anything, so you can put it in pretty much any feeder that you desire. I even like to put it in tray feeders, as long as it has a dome. So this one has a dome on it. It's going to help keep my seed in my tray dry when we have that rain that we've been having a lot of. Because it's no mess, it's going to be a little bit more susceptible to clumping than normal shelled seed is. But again, it's a great option. You know me and tray feeders. It's my love obsession. It's like the dinner table. Everyone can have a seat at the table, find something they like in that tray, and the birds feel really comfortable. And the best thing about it is that on all sides, I have the best view. There's nothing blocking my view when I'm looking at my birds on this feeder. So love the trays, but of course, there are other options for other feeders that you can use it in. So it's not just one and done. You can only use it in this feeder. There's quite a few options that you can utilize to use Fiery Feast. Come by and check it out. Remember, it's seed of the month, so all month long you can come in and grab a sample and learn more about it. All of our staff here is well versed in ways that you can defeat squirrels and other critters in your backyard, but this is a great opportunity to try Fiery Feast while it's Seed of the Month. All right, so that's that. Now on to the main topic, and the main topic is squirrels. Now, the reason why I want to talk about squirrels is not only did Lauren have a presentation on problem solving things such as squirrel problems and blackbird issues and things like that, but as a follow-up, I thought it would be good to talk about squirrels tonight. Also because this month, squirrels have a second brood of babies. So if you've been noticing some chaotic behavior out there, or those squirrels just being extra obsessed with your feeders, it could be because they have extra mouths to feed and they're just trying to be good parents, and your feeders are stocked with that great seed. They know who has the goods, but it doesn't mean that just because you have the great food that you necessarily have to share. There's enough natural resources out there for squirrels. They can find it just like birds can find their food. Your feeders are supplemental, but they're also bringing you joy of the birds. Now, if the squirrels are literally driving you insane, listen to these few tips. Maybe you'll pick something up that will be useful for you. But I definitely recommend that you come in and talk to us and give us your situation so that we can help develop a plan that's going to work for your specific yard. Every yard is going to be different. Every feeder setup is going to be a little bit different. And because of that, my tips tonight that I'm going to share with you, it may be one or more that we have to combine to make your feeder setup completely squirrel proof. All right, so we're going to get through it. We're going to go through those examples of ways that we can defeat the squirrels and keep them out of our feeders so that we can continue to enjoy all the birds without having to share and invite damage to our backyards and our feeders. Squirrels, I know you guys, we have a interesting debate always. Do you like the squirrels? Do you not like the squirrels? And I know many of you are on team squirrel, and then there's a whole handful of you that are on team no squirrels. And if you fall somewhere in between, that's okay too, because here at Wild Birds Unlimited in Joliet, we love them all, and we will help you solve and get the desired results that you want no matter where you are on that spectrum. All right, let's get to it. Ways to defeat the squirrels from eating at your feeders. Number one is to create a barrier. So my first example is putting your feeder in what I call feeder jail, which is essentially caging your feeder. So this particular one is obviously holding a cylinder feeder in a cage. Now we have cages for about every kind of feeder, from suet to tube feeder, you name it, we've got it. But this again is allowing you to keep feeding the seed that you have currently used. Perhaps it's the Nutty for Nut or some No Mess cylinder. This allows you to keep feeding that glorious seed, the Feather Pro regular seed that the squirrels, I'm sure, would love to taste, with although it's TC peanuts and tree nuts and mealworms and seed. But this is creating a barrier, so the squirrel physically cannot get past the cage to access the food inside. All right, that's how barriers like cages work. Now there are other barriers, and the next barrier that we'd like to talk about is baffles. Now baffles come in a couple different styles. You may notice that on many of our poles outside of the store, we have baffles like this. We also have the wraparound cone baffle. These are placed on the pole just below your feeders. There are some rules with using baffles like these on poles. You need to have the pole itself needs to be 10 feet away from any other object for the baffle to work. All right. Otherwise, they can just use something close nearby, say the bird bath or a tree or shrub nearby, and they'll launch themselves over to the feeder, no problem, and get right over the baffle. The baffle like this for a pole system is protecting the feeders from a ground attack. So the reason that it needs to be a distance is to keep the pole and the feeders above this baffle safe from a side attack. but it also needs to be placed at minimum 5 feet from the ground because squirrels can jump 5 feet high. So there are some rules to baffles, and I know your yard is specific and it's unique, and it's going to be different from the person that comes in before you. So it's recommended that you come in, explain your scenario, what does the backyard look like? Where is your feeders set up at? Is the pole in a fixed location? Could it be potential to move, or is it not going to be able to be moved? Which is totally okay. We can work around it. But that is how baffles for poles work. All right. The other kind of baffle that can be used is a hanging baffle. Now we have a couple different styles of hanging baffles, and one that I'm going to show you is also doubles as a weather guard. So this is an example of a weather guard, but in this particular case, how this is attached, just sitting perfectly on the top of that tube feeder, is also going to work as a baffle, and I'll show you why. So if a squirrel is coming from a top, because that's what hanging baffles are for, is to protect the food below the baffle. So if this is hanging in the tree and the squirrel comes and tries to eat from below, what he's going to do is he's going to push down on this and try to walk his way to that feeder. Well, because of how this is attached, the more he pushes, the more he's actually pushing his desired result away from him. So this is working really well. Again, just like the pole baffles, hanging baffles also have some rules. The baffle itself has to be wider than the feeder. Okay, so if you have a large hopper feeder and are trying to attach a hanging dome or hanging squirrel baffle from above, make sure that baffle itself is wider than the feeder you're actually trying to squirrel proof. The other really good tip is that the feeder itself should be able to be stuck up under there as best as possible, or it needs to have a snug fit kind of like this so that it's stationary and isn't going to move on you. All right, we have a particular squirrel baffle that is a hanging one where the feeder actually hangs on an S-hook below, which is great for some of our hanging type of feeders. Now again, the problem is that you want to make sure that feeder is still able to be tucked up under there, so when the squirrel does come, it's going to push it away or block access to the feeder below. All right, it's one way that we prevent squirrels from accessing food, or baffles. All right. The next method I like to talk about is changing the food. Now this is where your fiery feast comes to play. All right, so there's two types of food that I would recommend if you are dealing with squirrels and other kind of critters that are causing havoc at your feeders. One is safflower. Safflower is that white seed. It is really great at being a problem solver. Safflower is great to use when you are having a blackbird infestation. When they're all at your feeders, it's a less desirable seed for blackbirds because it's very hard for them to kind of eat, but it's also bitter for mammals. So if you have never tried any type of other food other than sunflower seeds or a blend of seed, it's recommended to try safflower because sometimes that bitter seed is just enough to get rid of the squirrels. Now, the awesome pro side of using safflower is it's a cardinal favorite. All of your other favorites, your woodpeckers, chickadees, nuthatches, the rest of the flock loves it. All right, so it's a really great seed to still use, but also eliminating some problems. Of course, safflower, as you can tell, is not shell-free, meaning it can make a mess. So if you are in the market for looking for a no-mess type of bird food to use at your feeders where it's not leaving a mess under the feeder, or perhaps you've tried safflower and it just isn't stopping them from raiding the feeders, now it's time to move up to Fiery Feast. All right, Fiery Feast and other hot pepper foods, and mind you, it doesn't just come in loose seed. Same with safflower. Safflower comes in a seed cylinder form. Same does your Fiery Feast. It comes in we have hot pepper cylinders. We have hot pepper suet. We have hot pepper in almost every kind of bird food there is out there. But again, it's meant to deter the squirrels from eating the food. So this way, by changing the food that you're using, you don't have to change the feeder. So if you have your favorite tube feeder, let's say the Cardinal Confetti feeder, is your favorite feeder, and you really want to be able to use this, but you don't necessarily want a big, huge dome, or you don't have a pull system to baffle it. One easy way to keep the critters out of it is simply using and changing the food to either Fiery Feast or safflower to keep those pesky squirrels out of there and other critters, all right? Another way that we like to combat squirrels is to change the feeder. All right, and this is sometimes a last resort. Sometimes you've tried all the other options. Sometimes it's because your pole or the feeder station that you are trying to set up is going to be too close to other objects, so baffling isn't going to work. You don't necessarily want to change the food that you're using because you know the food is working great to attract a wide variety of birds to your yard. This is when changing the feeder can sometimes make life just so much easier. The other thing about changing the feeder is it's a one and done purchase. So once you purchase it, it's going to fix the problem for the lifetime of that feeder. All right. I'm going to show you one style, but we have many different styles here. This is the fundamental feeder. It's one of my favorites. I also love the Eliminator. I also love the Absolute and some of the other brome products that we have carried to keep squirrels away. These are tried and true, proven to work squirrel feeders, squirrel-proof feeders. Now, unfortunately, what has happened is in the bird feeding industry, unfortunately, some producers of feeders incorrectly labeled their feeder as squirrel-proof. It may be squirrel resistant, but is it really squirrel proof? And because of them using that term incorrectly and unjustly, it has kind of given squirrel proof feeders a bad rap. But let me tell you, all the squirrel proof feeders that we carry here at Wild Birds Unlimited are tried and true. All right, it means it's bird tested and it's us tested to make sure that it works the way that it's supposed to. Meaning, just like this fundamental feeder, how this works is obviously you're filling your food from the top. This is a tube style feeder, so you'll fill it in from the top and let the seed run down. Now the cage on the outside is, yes, for clinging, but it's also protecting the ports, because let's say when the bird goes on there, he's able to eat just fine because he's nice and light, but when the squirrel goes on there, it closes the port, and now you see that the cage is now blocking the access to that port, so there's no more access to the food. So this is all weight sensitive. The fundamentals comes pre-programmed to this weight of squirrels in our area. Now we do have a couple other feeders that are able to be adjusted. So for example, I use my Eliminator, the squirrel proof Eliminator feeder. I use that to, of course, combat the squirrels in my yard, but I also use it to kind of, I play with the tension on it, so I limit how many blackbirds I'm feeding at my feeder. So in this squirrel-proof feeder, this is where I'm putting the top of the line seed. This is where I'm putting my Nomas, my Feather Pro, the nesting blend, the winter blend, those seasonally savvy foods that are high in nutrition, high in demand from your birds, but I don't necessarily want to share with the critters. Okay, it's not saying that I don't love my critters. I sure do, but there are certain feeders where I want to say no to, and that is okay. You can do that, all right? Those are the options. Now, of course, while all using these options and these solutions are proven to work, your yard is going to be unique to you. So again, come in if you know you have a problem with squirrels or critters. Come in and talk with us. Let's explore your yard together and determine a plan of attack to solving the problem. Now, of course, these options are great, but another cool option to consider is to feed them also. We have a blend called Wildlife Blend. It has peanuts and peanuts in the shell, out of the shell, seed, and corn. It is a great blend to put in a ground feeding tray feeder. Both your birds, like your ground feeding birds and your squirrels, will be able to dine in paradise together. And while they are eating and chowing down on some fine wildlife blend, your birds are able to happily eat alone and in peace at the feeders that you are providing already. So sometimes it's just enough to offer them something of their own so they feel like they are loved too, so that they can continue eating that and leaving your feeders alone. Okay, so I hope that has helped you a little bit. Don't forget, tomorrow is the last day to take advantage of the the Feather Pro sale. Whether it's seed cylinders or loose seed, the Feather Pro seed blend is 15% off. Unless your Daily Savings Club, you get an extra 5% on those 15% off sale. And it ends tomorrow. So in store or online, take advantage of it while it's still here. But we will have winter blend until it's all out of stock here. All right. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope to see you tomorrow for Animal Quest, who will be here from 11 to 1 with all their unique animals for an educational interactive program. Please bring the kids, bring the family. We'd love to have you. All right, guys, you have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next week around Friday at around 5:30 p.m. to tell you what's new and what's happening at Wild Birds Unlimited in Joliet. Bye now.